Hey everyone, and welcome to r/UnpopularOpinion. Or in other words, the way I start fights on this channel. Basically, if you've never been here before, this is a sub where people get to share their opinions that aren't popular. And I enjoy looking at them. Apparently some of you do too, so I'm back again with a few good ones. Now, this is a sub I only have covered a few times, so if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, and I'll know to do more. But with that said, let's not waste another second and get straight into this first one by user/Schned6. The "you'll never use math and science outside of school" narrative in America is horrible, counterproductive, and for the most part, not even true. I mean, has the United States of America ever needed math and science more in history than right now? Telling students this ingrains, for the rest of their life, complacency and disregard for the world around them. Math and science classes don't always have direct application, no. But calling them useless because of that is a naive oversimplification. These classes teach critical thinking, these classes teach problem solving, these classes teach our students how to think about things. I understand the benefit in telling a student that's struggling in math class that he or she isn't destined to be a failure because of it. But that is totally separate from bragging, especially around young people, that you don't use math in your career. Even though you probably do, even if you don't realize it. That is being a bad influence on a very easily influenced population of people. Math is money. Science is life. You don't have to be a rocket scientist for these things to be important. And just because you fix air conditioners or sell cars for a living doesn't mean you're absolved of them. In fact, that ignorance makes you way more prone to someone who doesn't share it taking advantage of your life. Yeah, this is a funny one, and why I decided to start with this is because this is one I've heard a lot. And I do agree with OP on this one. While you might not apply maths and science directly, and maybe with maths you won't go above basic addition and subtraction in day-to-day life, it really is the other skills that you're learning that matter. These critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, even just the ability to sit down and work through a problem or find solutions to a question you weren't able to solve before. All of it is a learning experience that should not be disregarded. And here's the next one by user/ArchangelSeth. I like it when people blast their music from their cars with the windows down. It gives me a brief look into someone else's day, and I just think it's cool to hear what different people like to listen to. I was on a drive with the windows down today and heard so many songs playing at once. It gave me intense La La Land intro vibes, and I just really loved it. I especially love matches you wouldn't expect, like an older woman listening to rap, or a cool-looking young one playing some classical or instrumental music. I don't know, I think it's nice, and I like to observe and appreciate little bits of people's everyday lives. I'll tell you what, OP, you know how to present an idea. Like, the way you've put it makes me not feel so bad about people blasting music from car windows. I guess it also sort of depends on time and place for me. Like, sometimes it's like, oh cool, someone's playing some music, like, whatever. I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but it's like, whatever, no problem. But other times, if it's especially loud, or especially annoying, or if I'm in a particularly bad mood, like, stop. We don't want to hear it. I mean, this really is a mood thing. But OP, you have definitely offered up some interesting perspective. And here's the next one by user/RokuHanma. Shrek is massively overrated. The stories aren't interesting, the characters are forgettable, the soundtrack is mediocre, and each film progressively gets worse. I don't understand why it has such a cult following. It has to be just childhood nostalgia, right? And I mean, I've put this one in because I thought this might get a reaction. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Shrek. I don't dislike it, but I don't love it either. I guess my opinion then fits perfectly with OP's that it's just overrated. Like, I don't really see why it's so loved, but hey, maybe some people do, and that's fair enough. And here's the next one by user/ILikeMyFace3. Offline games are better than online games. I'll make it clear, I don't hate every online game. Splatoon 2 being an example of one I like, but it pales in comparison to offline games. Here's why. 1. You're very limited in the types of games you can play. When's the last time you played an online 3D platformer? Probably never. I don't want to just play shooters all day. I want variety. 2. There's much better immersion in single-player games. In a single-player game, you can have a good story with beginning, middle, and end. With a great story, excellent voice acting, and amazing worlds to venture on your own in. I know MMOs sometimes do this, but other people being in my game ruin it for me. 3. I like the control. If I want to go to the bathroom, I can easily stop in a single player game. I can't do that online. 4. The NPCs are great, and many single player games have colourful NPCs you can interact with. And 5. I don't want to play online games with my friends. I'd much rather have them physically with me and do couch multiplayer. And yeah, I was gonna sort of half agree, half disagree with OP on this one, but I really like point number 5. I really like playing with actual people that I know, not just multiplayer with random people online, but with actual people that I know, sit down, them beside me, and go through a game together. Really lots of great fun. Otherwise, I've got to say, I haven't been playing too many games lately, but I do enjoy a good single-player game. Often, yeah, even over online games. I mean, it's not something that's been big lately for me, but I thought this was an interesting unpopular opinion. And here's the next one by user/VivaChaloon. People who advocate for weed and its medicinal benefits don't actually care about the medicinal part. The majority just want to get stoned without getting judged for it. I smoke a bowl each night so I can actually fall asleep. My leg hurts, so I smoked weed for it. Have you heard what weed can do for your insert health problem here? Try smoking indica, it'll clear that thing right up. Let's not kid ourselves. The grand majority of people who smoke pot do it to get high. Of course, there are people who have legitimate health stuff that they treat with weed, but come on. Most people are just trying to get stoned, but don't feel comfortable enough to admit it. So they blame it on a health reason. You're most likely not smoking because you get a headache, but rather because you want to binge watch Netflix and eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's without people giving you garbage for it. Yeah, interesting one, and one I can't really say much about because I can't really get inside people's heads and know what they're thinking. I do guess there would be a fair few people though who would want to use this as an excuse. Would this be the majority? I can't tell you, but definitely an interesting opinion. And here's the next one by user/PineMouse. If you get pregnant at a young age, expect your friends to move on with their lives and continue growing and doing things without you, even if it means you drift apart. If you have a baby at a young age, that's totally okay and your choice. But what's not okay is complaining that all your friends have abandoned you, when in reality they're just continuing to live like teenagers or early 20s adults, which is something you gave up when you got pregnant. Nobody wants to hang around a crying baby, and it also limits what you guys can all do together. I have empathy for how it must feel, and saying you feel abandoned is justified, but you weren't abandoned on purpose. You can't blame your friends for moving on and taking trips, lake days, dinners, and going to parties without you. In a perfect world, people should come around and hang out with you on your level, but it's just not how it works when you have a kid young. I've been chewed out for being the 17-year-old who didn't want to sit at home with my friend and her baby all summer, and I seriously still feel bad about the end of that friendship, but I was in a different place than her due to the birth of her child, and that's the reality. And I like this little addition in the comments by user/LittleRoo45. I had this happen to me when I was younger. My childhood friend had a baby at 17, and expected the rest of us to stop our lives for her. Me and another friend particularly did a lot for this girl. We'd buy her and her baby groceries, chip in to help her pay rent, drive her to doctor's appointments, and so on. We were young adults, making minimum wage and doing all of this. She eventually went on to have 2 more children, 3 in total, and still expected us to do those nice things for her after all this time without so much as a thank you. She's 29 now. Yeah, and OP does say that her situation was almost identical. I guess it's just one of those things where, I mean, it's sad and it shouldn't happen, but it does. By having a kid, you do put yourself in a completely different life situation. I mean, it's hard to explain this one for me. I've sort of stopped my other ideas abruptly. I've been talking for a little while now, and I just can't string together my opinion. I guess OP does put it well, that it sucks, it shouldn't happen, but it does. And if you have kids young, well, I guess some of your friends will drift away because they're in a completely different stage of life. And as much as it sucks, it's just something that will happen. And here's the next one by user/obsessed with guitars. Middle-aged guys don't buy sports cars because they're having a midlife crisis. It's because they can finally afford the car they want. I hate hearing people say, "Oh, he bought a Corvette because he's balding and needs to feel younger." No, 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 no. As someone who's never earned much money because I made the spectacular decision to do what I love rather than what was lucrative, I'm finally in a position in my late 30s where I can actually save up to buy my dream car. I get it if cars aren't important to you. I get it if you dislike the impact they have on the environment. I get it if you think sports cars are too expensive and a hassle. I get it if you see a 40-something guy in a BMW M3 and assume he's compensating for something. But realize that automotive enthusiasm is a huge part of life for a lot of people, and can often be the biggest connection they have to family members or friends. As a car enthusiast, I look forward to increased electrification for a lower carbon footprint, and ridiculous torque for better acceleration. I accept that my budget will have to increase for a cool exotic car and decrease for other pursuits. It's worth it to me, just like you might enjoy collecting stamps or having a closet full of nice clothes. It's also the first thing I talk about when I call my dad, since he used to race cars and motorcycles in the 70s. We bond over cars and car news. So, the next time you see some guy with greying temples and a widow's peak driving a Ferrari, understand it might be the realization of a dream from childhood, and try to, not poop on that dream because it's not your dream. And as one of the comments down the bottom puts out, if the car doesn't come at the expense of other things, if these people could truly afford them, then go ahead, do what makes you happy. It is all too easy to judge people that we don't know just based off things like cars. Actually, now that I think about it, it's a very silly thing to do, but it's just something that is so easy. I mean, I guess the moral of this one for me is you do just what makes you happy and try not to judge people for what they like. And here's the next one by user/nerdbot5k. Working 40 hours a week to afford a quality life you're satisfied with is a blessing, not a curse. I often hear Redditors, and sometimes real actual people, talk about how 40-hour work weeks are oppressive. I'm not trying to challenge that, but the reality is that you're lucky and blessed if you can afford to work only 40 hours a week. I'm speaking from the perspective of an American, but I wouldn't be surprised if this applied to other countries as well. The vast majority of well-paying careers expect you to work far more than 40 hours a week. Think of the traditionally aspirational white-collar position. Doctor, lawyer, various finance jobs, engineer, and etc. All these jobs are notorious for working 50 to 60 hours a week and even more. Those sexy careers like game developer, designer, sports and entertainment agent, more than 40 hours. Want to be your own boss and become a successful entrepreneur or content creator? Great, now you have no boundaries between work and your personal life. And again, you'll probably be working more than 40 hours. Want to do the right thing and work for a non-profit? You'll make far less than your peers and work more than 40 hours. Most often, full-time positions that require 40 hours of work are ones with an hourly wage and management that does not want to pay overtime. Often, this is a red flag, as it can lead to the expectation of accomplishing 10 hours of work in an 8-hour day. In most industries, the prestigious and high-paying positions are associated with larger workloads, not less. This includes those big Silicon Valley companies renowned for their work-life benefits, such as Google. I'm not saying that it's wrong or entitled to want to work 40 hours or less, but unrealistic goals aren't healthy. A 40-hour work week that pays well is an aspirational goal that will require sacrifice to attain and is not something easily accomplished. From the outset, you'll have to be smart about your career decisions and end up working a lot. Once you're in a position to take a job that provides better work-life balance while still paying the bills, you'll have to make a difficult choice between free time and income or career advancement. And it's interesting, first of all, because I covered an opposite post, like one post that covered the exact opposite, saying that it's unreasonable to expect to work 40 hours a week for the rest of your life. And from another, that this post is very split, the comments are very split. I guess it does come down to looking at what you value. If you value your free time more, well then, sure, work 40 hours a week, try to work less, do whatever you can to get free time and spend time in the way you want. If you value money, career advancement, all those things, well then, feel free, spend extra time working to get into a better position. Honestly, I don't know why we decided 40 hours a week is a good amount of time. And guys, I think that post is going to be the last one for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos every second day. But with that said, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.